Vault by Ron Robertson-Swann was commissioned in 1978 with the idea that it would be positioned in the city square, which was being designed by Denton Corker Marshall on behalf of the City of Melbourne. It was placed in the square in 1980, but at that time it was met with a great deal of controversy. In 1981, the work was removed from the square and it was then hidden away for a period of time and then relocated to Batman Park, down near the Yarra, where it languished for a period of time. In 2002, it came to the precinct of the Australian Centre for Contemporary Art, and there it remains happily today. Personally, professionally, I think it was actually a terrific work for the City Square site. A good colour, nice juxtaposition with our bluestone grey kind of city, a really, happy and sunny kind of moment in a civic scape. So it's a pity that perhaps it got relocated from there, but we're happy to have it all the same. Right from the very beginning, it was met with a certain disdain. A lot of the city councillors and quite a lot of the public and some of the press actually felt quite negative about the work. I think they felt it was not civic enough. They seemed to have an objection to its rather colourful status, being yellow. And it was dubbed the Yellow Peril by the Herald Sun newspaper at the time. That kind of stuck. I don't know if that's a reference in some way to just the colour or if it's a lurking undercurrent of perhaps a kind of communism that they think is embedded in modernist sculpture. Anyway, it's quite a late work. I mean, it's interesting really that in 1978 an artist is still pursuing these quite classical modernist forms in steel sculpture, but I think it's a very, very good example of what Ron Robertson-Swann was on about. It's essentially a deconstructed square, and so of course it makes sense that it would want to go into the civic space of a square. And over a period of a year, much toing and froing, much discussion in the newspapers, petitions, debates, etc., eventually meant that the council decided to remove the work. That was a bit of a scandal, and we then see them taking it away in the stealth of night in 1981, and then eventually repositioning it down in Batman Park. When they removed it, the Builders Union Federation in fact actually put a ban on any other work in the city square. So it was quite a political object. I think in a certain way, they did see it as a kind of workers' sculpture in a fashion. And again, maybe that's part of the reason why the Yellow Peril title stuck. And I think a lot of people just thought it had disappeared or had been dismantled and disbanded. But in fact, in 2001, when plans were well in place for the building of ACCA, this building, it was put to us that perhaps we might receive Vault. And I said, absolutely, why not? I said, we can take Vault and we will have a pastoral care over it, because of course it's not ours. It still belongs to the City of Melbourne, and they are responsible for its day-to-day maintenance and care, but we cast our eyes over it every morning to see what other kind of artistic effort has been put on it. It's been the receptacle of many things, graffiti, some quite clever signage. It's been the site for fashion shoots. People seem to do wedding shots there. It's much loved now, actually, but it is our role really to make sure that it looks good and looks as the artist intended it to look. So we're often on the phone to the city saying, come on down, your sculpture needs a little bit of a paint job again. And they try to stay pretty much within the original palette, but it does drift a little bit because colours change somewhat. But it is supposed to be cardamom. And that's what we aim for, so that it looks always bright and a kind of beacon of a piece, for the Melbourne landscape. Nevertheless, I'm very happy for it to be here next to the stack, which is the red stack that Woodmarsh have designed for the exhaust that comes out of the tunnel which exists underneath ACCA. So it's an interesting and a potted history of a sort, but I hope it remains here for some time.